Well, I think this chapter is semi-done. We already know that she was lying. However, typical fashion, someone had to look for an excuse. And it was none other than DJ Envy, literally coping, putting the blanket over her as if why she did wrong. And looking for 30,000 excuses just to say, hey, it's all about race. But she did wrong, but how about this other person? She did wrong, but how about this other person? Everything needs to be about race when it comes to these woke people. It's insane. It can't be, she did what she did and she needs to pay for it. Point and simple. No. It has to be about race. Hey, but how about the girl that did this? How about the guy that did this? Like, bro, not everything's about race, ladies and gentlemen. And we're going to hear DJ Envy making excuses for this young lady. Make sure you guys subscribe, and let's talk about it in the comment section. Should she pay for it or not?
That she was not abducted. Now she admits that she was not kidnapped. Let's take a listen and talk about it on the other side.
There was no kidnapping on Thursday, July 13th, 2023. My client did not see a baby on the side of the road. My client did not leave the Hoover area when she was identified as a missing person. My client did not have any help in this incident, but this was a single act done by herself. My client was not with anyone or any hotel with anyone from the time she was missing. My client apologizes for her actions to this community, the volunteers who were searching for her, to the Hoover Police Department and other agencies as well, as to her friends and family.
Boy.
Yeah, it's sad. I mean, this is something that I think I noticed early on when I seen her talking about the child, that no other person seen that child. It's sad, but now consequences, right? And now this is the thing that I think we should discuss. Yes, it was effed up what she did. It was effed up that she lied, and I hate to compare, but I've seen so many Karens that called the police on us for doing absolutely positively nothing, and nothing happens to them. And we could have got killed, we could have got shot, we could have got stabbed, we could have been choked out in a police chase, and nothing happens to them. So it's difficult to say something should happen to her because we see it all the time.
Well, there's been precedent set. I mean, there was a young woman in California. I can't remember her name right now, but I think she's currently doing 18 months for faking a kidnapping. This was a couple years ago. So I mean, there's precedents for cases like this.
And I mean, even if we look at the precedents with Jussie Smollett, obviously everybody's comparing that. You see all the memes on Twitter, and just to kind of refresh what happened with him when they found out that was also a case. He faced 6 counts of disorderly conduct. He also, for falsifying a police report, literally calling in a 911, that is against the law. So he had several felonies with that. He also had to pay a fine for those resources that were used to investigate that. He ended up having to pay $120,000 for restitution. And so they're definitely, like Charlamagne, I think you had pointed out when we first talked about this story, that we do live in America, and you rest assured, even though it may not be fair, to DJ Envy's point, I can certainly see she's going to get some type of charge, at least at the very bare minimum, a misdemeanor.
Yeah. Oh, Sherry Papini, that was her name. She was the California mother who faked her own kidnapping in 2016, and she got sentenced to a year and a half. And she's most definitely white.
Yeah, but what about the white lady that the guy, the black brother was watching the birds in Central Park, and she called the police and said that he did a crime. What happened to her? Did she get any time for that, or did that just slide?
I feel like apples and oranges. Am I tripping, Lauren?
I see what point he's trying to get to. I just feel like we know the world we live in. Mm-hmm. Like it's just different for us. So the comparison doesn't even matter, because what's going to happen to her is going to happen. We know the world we live in, and it's annoying to see people saying like this is going to make people stop caring about black girls that go missing, because the care wasn't there in the first place. So this isn't going to change anything.
That's all I be saying.
It's embarrassing though. I can say that. It's embarrassing.
I can see why you feel that way, you know what I'm saying? But I'm not going to get caught up in Carlee Russell as an individual. She lied. This we all know. But like you just said, Lauren, the epidemic of missing black women and children in this country is very real. So this story isn't going to stop me from continuing to amplify those other stories. And I still believe it was some kind of social engineering going on with this, because why out of all the stories about missing black women and children, just our luck, the one that's a lie is the one everybody latched on to and amplified?
I think it's because of all of the things that surrounded it. Like, it was kind of like a movie. There's like a kid on the side of the road, and The girl goes missing and she's on the phone and you hear scream. It's like the internet loves that type of stuff.
Yeah, that too. But just bottom line, but I'm just gonna be honest with you. And I think I mentioned this to you before, Charlamagne. Yeah, it did sound movie-like, but at the end of the day, we have to talk about classism within the Black community. And her story got bumped up with a lot of us behind the scenes on the news side. And so when you have a story like her saying, okay, great, a lot of people saw themselves as her. College student, AKA come from a well-to-do family, a middle-class family. That looked like, that could be one of us.
Yep.
And so when I worked the rape case for the Oklahoma City Hallscroft rape victims, the 13 black women that were raped by a police officer, we did not get that support in the media. So I have to throw that in there as well, that when you have journalists who were mainstream media that said, sent out, we all saw the posts, that went out and said, hey guys, I need you to stop what you're doing and I need you to pay attention to this. There were phone calls behind the scenes saying, let's bump this up, let's get this young lady home. And so they had a lot to do with it as well. And I appreciate the effort that they did, but I have to be honest in saying that a lot of that had to do with who you know and who you know in this business and how people wrap their arms around this particular young lady.
I totally agree with that, Tess. But she's not the first college student that went missing. She's not the first sorority member or fraternity member that went missing. I still
I'm
find
telling y'all, it's all the elements, and then the wig.
The way.
Right. Yeah, it was all of those things. It was all of those things at once. But I do want to say this before we get out of here. If you did donate money to Crime Stoppers of Metro Alabama, at first they said they were not giving